You are never too old to get into meditation. You are never too old to get into meditation. There is no age that is best for meditation. In fact, even children can meditate. There's no age, there's no time period, there's no phase in your life that is best suited for meditation. It doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. The best time to get into meditation is right now. So recently I saw this video that went viral where this old man beat, I believe, the world champion of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, for those of you who don't know what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, it's a card game where you summon monsters and try to attack your opponent to reduce their life points to 0. And this old man, he made this wacky deck and he beat the world champion, or that's what I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he actually won that tournament. And I watched the duel and it was pretty interesting. Anyway, for those of you who don't know what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, it's a card game that some of the younger kids and adults, maybe even the older adults, they play. And somebody's grandpa was playing. He made a deck and beat one of the top players, and I thought that was awesome. For those of you who know what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, you have to remember that Pot of Greed allows you to draw 2 cards. Yeah, no, without this knowledge, you would have not done so well. But hopefully this gives you the edge to beat your next opponent. So, anyway, I saw this grandpa totally destroy one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, and I was like, wow, okay, this game really is, what's the word, timeless? Or doesn't matter what your age is, you can play it and you can win tournaments. And not only can you win tournaments, you can take a wacky deck of cards and you can beat one of the top players with a strategy that only exists. Well, I mean, they did use this strategy before, but only really exists in myth and legend. Let's put it that way. So, age, that tournament proved that age is not relevant. You can do whatever you want to do, regardless of your age. So anything the kids do, the older generation can do as well, or a lot of the things, not everything, I guess. Not anything, but a lot of the things that the kids do, the older generation can do as well. And it was great to see him win that tournament. It was great to, first of all, see him participate, because I don't think we get a lot of elderly people participating in these types of tournaments. So when I saw that, I just felt some nostalgia, because I used to play this game. I used to collect the cards, here and there. And I just remembered the good old days. The good old days of getting my cards stolen. In school by friends. And it just reminded me, this tournament reminded me of the dialogue between Guru Amar Das ji and Sheikh Farid ji, where Sheikh Farid ji says, basically, remember these two guys are highly advanced practitioners of meditation, you could say. And Sheikh Farid ji says, it's better to get into it young. I got into it too late. Maybe he felt like he should have started young, and so he says it's better to get into meditation while you're young. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what he says. And then Guru Amar Das ji, I believe, like a century or two later, or many centuries later, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but Guru Amar Das ji responds with, actually, it doesn't matter. I got into this in old age, because Guru Amar Das ji, when he was old, that's when he got into mentorship with Guru Angad Dev ji. Guru Amar Das ji had gone through his whole life just following blind, like religious rituals and things like that, just doing what everyone does, not being a great person, just being average, just most people just do what's convenient. So he probably just did some convenient things, and his whole life passed by. Now he's middle age or older, probably old, like a senior. He's old now, and he's sitting next to somebody who is taking guidance from a guru who's under mentorship. And he has this weird thing where he's like, I don't sit with people who are I don't dine with people who don't have a guru. And this I guess hits Guru Amar Das ji, and something in him I guess lights up and says, maybe I need to find a guru. Maybe I'm not living in the best way that I could. So that triggers him to find a guru, and eventually finds Guru Angad Dev ji, and starts practicing there. So and this grandpa who won the tournament, playing Yu-Gi-Oh, he got into it because his grandson would play Yu-Gi-Oh, and that was a way that he connected with his grandson. They just played Yu-Gi-Oh together, and he decided to, I believe his grandson was also in the tournament, and he also decided to join the tournament. So, it was a way for him to spend time with his grandson. Whereas, like, for Ramardas ji, I believe he realized that he just wasn't living his best life upon meeting with this total stranger who wouldn't sit with him. Something triggered within him, and then he decided to do something about it. I know these are not the same thing, right? Some grandpa spending time with his son is not the same as Ramardas ji going on the spiritual journey, for sure. But what I wanted to highlight was that here was a grandpa that got into it in old age, and and you could call him one of the top players now, because he beat the top player. So he certainly did more than just connect with his grandson there. He reached out for excellence in Yu-Gi-Oh! Whereas Ramardas ji reached for excellence in meditation and responsible actions. Seva and Simran, as they say in Sikhi. I'm going on a new route, so my attention is kind of split between talking and finding my way around. So you could do meditation at any age. Even children, they can do it as well. Obviously, small children can't do some of the more advanced stuff, but they can certainly do whatever. They could do meditation according to whatever capability that they have. How they will play games. They're not the best at those games, but they'll play the game, like a board game or something. They'll play it. They might not be the best at it, but they can do it. They can do it to some degree. And I do think that we should start kids off young and teach them to meditate. Teach them about responsibility and responsible actions. So I actually got lost. Actually went somewhere else where I wasn't supposed to go. But luckily I have a map, so I can go right back to where I do want to go. Hopefully these videos are a map for you guys to find your way through. Because at one time I was also lost with regards to responsible actions and meditation. I didn't know what they were. I had an idea, but I did not know exactly what it was. And even though my parents and the influences around me gave me little droplets of understanding, it wasn't enough, and I had to then go on a quest to search who or what there was that was at the foundation of the world. And I didn't even know that I was going on a quest to find that. Anyway, this will be another video. about my journey into it. But I was quite young when I started meditating. And certainly it does have advantages because, like your whole life is ahead of you when you're young. So if you... Actually, this is great. We can get into how or why meditation is actually beneficial for you and why you want to get into it while you're young. And that will have to be another video. In this video, I wanted to keep it to the elderly and the people who are, going to approach that age in the next 5 years or 10 years. People who are going to be that age. Many people have not even thought about what it's going to be like when they're that age, and how will they manage? How will they remain healthy? How will they remain physically healthy? And how will they remain mentally healthy? Many people have not thought about that. And with regards to mental health, I think meditation is an important tool for optimal mental health. Because when you're young, you kind of feel like there's no burden that life puts on you. Or maybe sometimes you do. Sometimes when you're sad, you might feel burdened. Sometimes if, somebody mentioned bullying, if you're getting bullied, that'll be a burden for sure. But other than that, when you're young, you don't really feel burdened by things as much. But that's not the case when you're older. Because as you're getting older, you're experiencing yourself make mistakes. And you're also getting affected by the mistakes of others. You may even be a victim of those mistakes. And when all these mistakes add up, they put a lot of burden on you. You can probably hear the cars. You don't need silence to meditate. You can meditate while it's noisy and loud. So we were talking about, burden that comes with old age. You make mistakes, others make mistakes. And, these mistakes, these actions come to bite you. Your past actions will affect your mental health. There's no doubt about it. Unless you do something about it. Your mistakes, your past actions, they will affect your mental health unless you do something about it. The time for doing something about it is right now. Because the nature of these types of things is that the longer you wait, the more burdensome they become. Some people carry the weight of their past actions for their whole lifetime, and they die under that weight. Some people, they don't resolve it and they just hold on to it, and when you talk to them later, then it all bubbles up. It all bubbles up, and you can feel how crushed they are. How this weight is just crushing them. But they don't have that. They're not alert to this, and so they continue living in this way, burdened by the weight. And they might do things to get away from it, to distract themselves from it. Which usually involves some kind of worldly or material thing, some kind of activity. Somehow they'll avoid it through the different things that they do. They could just avoid it by, their hobbies or their work or anything like that. They'll say, I don't have time for that. I'd rather just do my work, or I'd rather just do this thing that I enjoy doing. Why feel the pain when I can just not feel the pain and avoid the pain? So as you age, these things accumulate, these burdens accumulate, and if you don't do anything about them, on time, then it will surely burden you when you're older. Responsible actions and meditation is the idea that you will perform those actions which lead to the best outcome, which is the least amount of burden. Now, that's not always the case. Actually, I could put it this way. Responsible actions and meditation is a way to strengthen yourself so that you could actually carry that burden without it affecting you, right? And responsible action strengthens you so that you can carry it, and meditation strengthens you and allows you to let go of the parts that are just not relevant, aspects of that burden that are just not relevant. So as you age, these burdens accumulate and you want to resolve them. And so responsible actions and meditation, that's the way to go. Find out what your responsibility is and do it. Find out what your true responsibility is. Not like your job responsibility or whatever responsibilities that you might think you have towards your family or friends or anything like that. Your true responsibility. We could say mission in life, or it could be multiple things. It doesn't have to be a singular mission. It could be a few things. and meditate. Learn to dissociate yourself from that part of your mind which takes credit for everything. There's a part of your mind that will take credit for anything the body does. And all your mistakes and your burdens are attached to this mind, this aspect of the mind. And because we have not been taught about this, because we don't pay attention to this happening, like for example, we might pay attention to the rising of the sun and the setting of the sun, which is a natural process. This part of the mind is also a natural process, but we might not pay attention to it. And because we don't pay attention to it, we start to believe that this part of the mind is actually telling us the truth. We believe that this part of the mind is who we are. This is because it takes ownership of it. It takes credit for it. It creates this identity that, here I am, and I do this and I do that, and I made this mistake, and someone did this to me, and they shouldn't have done that. They should have done something else. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I should have done something else. All of your life story is attached to this. All of your life story is being created and propagated, advertised to you in real time by this mind. A lot of the young people have ad blockers on their devices to stop the ads. Even they are being advertised to by this aspect of the mind that takes credit for things and is constantly bombarding them with this advertising about their life story, about who they are and what they've suffered or what mistakes they've made, and all these things. The mind this aspect of the mind never really relaxes for them, and it just keeps coming up with new ways to advertise itself, because that's all it really does. It's just advertising constantly. In the form of thoughts and images and emotions and things like that, feelings. So the first time you meditate, you might actually even encounter these advertisements, these pop-ups that keep appearing on the screen of your awareness. And you don't know that until you start meditating. You think that until you create some distance between this aspect of the mind and who you really are, you believe that this is normal. This is the normal way of the brain, of the mind. This is how it is. This is who I am. Obviously, this is my story. Obviously, right? This is what we tell others. And I'm not saying don't if you've created a song and you really like that song, don't hesitate to tell people that you made the song. Or if you made a painting, as I have done, I never hesitate to tell people that I've painted it. This is not about interpersonal interactions. This is not about interacting with other people, although it will be. There are some components that enter into that, but we're not talking about not taking credit for things that you've done when you're talking to other people. Here I'm talking about the mind, an aspect of the mind taking credit for whatever the body has done, and then advertising it back to you again and again. And not only advertising just the thing that you've done, but also attaching other things to it, emotions and feelings and images, and what could have been, what should have been, all these things. It's just There's a lot of mental noise that this aspect of the mind generates. And what ends up happening is that you might have made a mistake and you might have suffered the consequences of that mistake, but this aspect of the mind will make sure that you continue to suffer the consequences of that mistake for the rest of your life. You've already made the mistake and you already suffered, but this aspect of the mind in you and in others who remind you, this aspect of the mind will make sure that you suffer again and again by bringing it up again and again, by advertising it, by getting triggered over memories, by getting triggered by events and other people. It'll do everything in its power to be triggered and advertise. Because that gives it legitimacy. It justifies itself through this way. And so what you end up doing is you start giving it importance because it's constantly advertising to you. It's constantly appearing. It's popping up again and again, again and again. It never really lets you rest. And you start to believe the things it says because you're being bombarded by this propaganda. Propaganda of this aspect of the mind. Because advertising can be good, but this mind largely just produces propaganda. And you start to believe it because it's constantly bombarding you with it. So by the time you're old, you're going to, if you don't pay attention to what this aspect of the mind is doing, you're going to be crushed under the weight of the burden that it creates. So not only are you burdened by your past actions and the consequences, but you're also burdened by this aspect of the mind that is constantly telling you all kinds of nonsense about your life story and what could have been, what should have been, what you should have said, what they should have done, what you should have done, on and on and on. Familiarize yourself with this aspect of the mind. Watch it. Just watch it in action. See what it does. See that it's doing these things to you constantly. This video is not just for people approaching old age, but it's also for young people, because they will have to face this when they're older. Take a few deep breaths. Slow and alert. Be alert. The reason why this aspect of the mind has such an effect on us is because we're not alert to it. Because as soon as we become alert, we realize this is just a natural process of having a brain. This is just a natural action of the brain. Natural process that's occurring in your mind. That's all this is. And you don't have to be a victim to it. set it aside, create some distance between you and it. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you could do it at any age. It might be so that children, they're not really able to understand this exactly. So this method might not work for them. I'll have to experiment and see. But certainly, if you're able to understand my words, you should be able to do it. Pay attention to what's happening when I am silent. Does your mind just fill that space with propaganda? I'm calling it propaganda because I don't think it's good in the long run. Because advertising is more like a neutral term, where advertising could be about... Actually, advertising can also work because some of the things that this aspect of the mind might tell you might be the things that you actually need to do. And so, there may be things that you do need to pay attention to that are related to your life. But a lot of it is just propaganda. So there are some ads that are worth paying attention to. But a lot of what this mind is generating is just negative content, just negative propaganda. And as long as you are caught up in its propaganda machine, you're never going to be able to relax and enjoy your life. And then as you get older, this machine will just churn up more and more content because it went through life and it picked up a lot of things, made a lot of mistakes, it got victimized by a lot of people, and all of that just gave it more content for churning out more propaganda. Just continues to pop up. So watch your mind, watch what it does. And don't take it too seriously. We'll leave it at that. If you want to hear more about meditation and you want to go more in depth, I have some videos that will help you do that, where we go more in depth with regards to meditation. Hey there.
Nice day, finally, eh?
Yeah. She said, "Nice day finally, eh?" That's exactly how you'll feel if you do this. If if you watch your mind in action and you see that part of your mind that is just bombarding you with all kinds of thoughts about your past, once you break free, you will finally have a nice day. You'll finally realize that life doesn't have to be the way that you were living previously. Alright guys, I will see you later.
Are you a YouTuber?
I wanna be. I said I wanna be.
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
Good luck.